This is a test of frequency instruments, bass, drums, distortion.
Accused Priti Patel of floating about the unlawful removals of vulnerable asylum seekers, which to my mind, if I was to read between the lines a little bit there, is almost directly accusing the Home Secretary of breaking the law. Is that what you're implying?
Well, the Home Office gets it wrong, as does every public body. The Home Office last year paid out £8.2 million in compensation for people it had wrongfully detained. So when it does get it wrong, surely people should be able to challenge it, especially where people's lives and liberties are at stake. In my view, where there are removals that are unlawful, they should be challenged. And the challenges are simply upholding the rule of law. They have a legal right to stay.
Do you feel like the current administration perhaps aren't learning or have failed to learn the lessons of things like the Windrush scandal and have maintained their hostile environment approach to immigration, which has led to this infographic being released today?
Well, they're very proud of the hostile environment, which was established far long before Priti Patel by Theresa May. But, I mean, one example, last November, Priti Patel sat on the Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, and that committee concluded that militarising the border was only going to encourage asylum seekers to take to unsafe modes, and they encouraged that the UK establish safe and legal pathways. Flatting against that, what we've seen in recent weeks is an RAF plane sent over the channel, a call to naval arms, and the immediate detention of unaccompanied children. And now this.
There will be people, though, Sangeeta, who want a firm stance on immigration, who want illegal migrants to be returned when they have broken the law, and will applaud the Home Office for taking such a firm stance on this issue.
But who are these illegal migrants? The charter plane that the Home Office is tweeting about, it is talking about asylum seekers. So they aren't illegal in how they entered, and they didn't need to claim asylum in the first safe country. The problem is that the Dublin regulations, which allows the government, it's an administrative transfer that allows the government to transfer asylum seekers to another EU member state. But those regulations require that asylum seekers have a right of appeal against the transfer. The UK is misusing the Dublin regulations to shirk its legal responsibilities to safeguard asylum seekers' rights. There are many legal, legitimate, logical reasons why many of those asylum seekers shouldn't be transferred. We know several of them are vulnerable. They suffer from PTSD. They're on suicide watch. Those are the reasons that judges are ordering that they shouldn't be removed.
We asked the Home Office for a statement tonight in response to the backlash to this particular infographic or animation, whatever you want to call it, and they literally told us they don't have one.
Well, the infographic says it all, I suppose. It being disgraceful and dangerous in its painting lawyers as the nemesis and ensuring that this anti-migrant sentiment is stoked. I worry if the Home Office keeps going in this way, it also jeopardizes British people of colour. Should the Home Office really be using public funds to create and publish anti-migrant propaganda?
And how do you feel about Priti Patel leading that charge?
Well, it's not. I'm not concerned about the individual. In my view, a public body should be serving the public.
That's fair enough, I understand. Sangeeta, thank you for your time tonight. Sangeeta Iyengar there, who's a human rights barrister with Goldsmith Chambers, and you can understand why feelings run hot over these issues. The infograpic's widely available to see on social media. I'm not going to retweet it if you don't mind, because sometimes retweets are seen as endorsements, and I'm not in a position to endorse that particular animation, not by a long chalk. But if you search for it, you'll find it. If you want to see it, it's there for you to see, and you can make up your own mind. And you're welcome to call and let me know, as you are with all the stories we cover on Drive Time, how you feel about the things we're discussing and covering. 0800 731 2000. It's 17 minutes past 6 now then, and Jacqueline Shepherd's making a difference tonight.
BBC Radio. For a collaborative and cooperative approach
to how you deal with things. And the Lib Dems actually are very good on that collaborative, cooperative. You know, you referred in your introduction to the fact that they work in partnership with Welsh Labour. You know, they've worked in partnership with the Tories on some councils. They've worked in partnership, as we know, with the Tories in the coalition government with David Cameron and Nick Clegg. There are, you know, at this time when I think we are all facing a huge crisis, and to go back to the local bit, you know, local authorities' budgets have been slashed to the core, and they are all under the cosh because of COVID, because of the loss of business rates, and so on and so forth. You've seen the government, you know, running a coach and horses through local planning, for instance. That has a major impact on the local environment, and people, I think, feel very powerless. Whether it's locally, nationally or globally, this whole coronavirus has had a huge impact on how people feel they can take control over their own life, and who is telling them or helping them to do that. Well, we know this government's not doing very well on that count, but actually all of our worlds, all of our horizons have become much, much smaller. And it may be that this is the time for Liberal Democrats to build on that local level. I mean, I think Ed Davies right. It doesn't translate nationally, but 'twas ever thus. You know, it's very difficult to get much coverage when there are so many other big things going on, and you've got a predominantly two-party system. So that's one issue. And obviously, we know local papers don't exist in the same way that they used to, so you lose out on that sort of thing. But he's got to somehow appeal to younger voters, and there are younger thoughtful people who care desperately about climate change and the environment, who care about whether they can afford a job where they work, if indeed they're going into work, you know, whether we're going to have to rebuild and redesign cities, which are predicated around human...
Joe, you've got a bigger agenda than Ed Davey has.
I know I have, but you know, it's easy for me. I'm not standing for election.
Well, maybe you should have thought of that. Joe, very good to hear from you as always. We appreciate it. That's Joe Phillips, political journalist and writer, who was Paddy Ashdown's press secretary, as she says, about 100 years ago. So it's over to you. If you are a Liberal Democrat, there are Liberal Democrat members, 57% of them voted in this election. If you're Liberal-minded, but maybe you don't like a Lib Dems as a party, if you've lent the party your vote and been disappointed, or if you believe in your heart that the Lib Dems are the future of this country, 0345 6060 973. More news now from Bill Overton.
Switzerland, the Czech Republic and Jamaica are coming off the UK's safe travel list from Saturday. Masks are being made mandatory everywhere in Paris from tomorrow morning. And Putney is cutting 2,800 jobs, part of its restructuring of the business. The weather: fog in the south tonight, wind and heavy rain further north and west, lighter showers for Scotland and Northern Ireland, a low of 8 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Katie Tyler, crawling on the M3 northbound from Junction 3 for Lightwater towards the M25 because of an accident. On the M25 itself, queues continue anti-clockwise from Junction 3 for Swanley towards the Dartford Tunnel, taking around 40 minutes to get through. It's also crawling for nearly an hour on the North Circular Road. That's eastbound between the Coney Hatch interchange and the Crooked Village interchange, and delays for around 40 minutes on the A13. That's eastbound from Limehouse towards the Lodge Avenue flyover in Barking.
This is LBC. Hey, Harry. Hello, mate. Should I take boosted odds on the big lad to score first, or risk a cheeky bet on the new boy?
Listen, back in the day, people were always offering me deals on players, but sometimes, despite the fans screaming for me to sign them, and the chairman having the cash, if I wasn't sure, then it wasn't worth the gamble. Sometimes your best bet is not to take the bet at all. I've got to run, pal. The dog's just peed in my slippers.
Harry? Listen to Harry, and please gamble responsibly. 8